Do aliens exist? Even so, does the government know? What's the story behind them? Where did the human race come from? Is it a possibility that we were created from aliens? The origin of the human race has been a topic for years. People share different opinions. From the literal biblical perspective, faith-based people believe that the human race is created in an instant by a creator. However, people in the scientific community believe that the human race came from pure evolution. We can't say that these two theories don't hold truths. However, there is a possibility that a more intelligent life played a big role in creating the human race, developing our DNA. The world and the human race hold many secrets. One of them is aliens. You might laugh and not believe that aliens have played a role in our evolution. As we unravel mysteries from our past, more and more, we, the human race, have made some of the most remarkable discoveries that are discussed in the scientific community. Have you ever heard about this? What do you think? Do you believe that our genetic makeup has to be more than the luck of the draw? What is the story of our DNA? If exquisitely extraordinary things were created, there had to be an artist involved, just like our DNA. The physicists at the National University of Kazakhstan 2013 noted something that changed everything: the perspective of our human race. They claim that the mathematical code inside our DNA is so sophisticated. It is so sophisticated that it can't be explained. Would it make sense to say that this could have been designed from a very intelligent life form? The research was published in the science journal Icarus that had noted that our DNA had perfectly ordered patterns of ideographs. Our DNA uses symbols to express physical concepts. These are similar to how we use them to convey language. It is like finding one of the most beautiful and multicolored mandalas made of sand. How could we assume that this was somehow created randomly by nature? The physicists have suggested that our DNA coding has remained unchanged since our creation. It is believed that it's like a file cabinet to preserve human design. Kazakhstan physicists think that the code of our DNA contains a kind of a receiver, like an extraterrestrial satellite dish. Its function is to detect the intelligence that designed it, a biological CD. It suggests that our bodies are receptive to the presence of extraterrestrial life. In 1977, CD received an unknown radio signal from space. It was a mysterious wow. However, our bodies were suggested to wait for those creators' signs. When we get the signal, our biology will know. CD expanded its scopes from receiving radio waves to including our body's name receivers. It is essential to note the evidence of directed panspermia. DNA used in genetic engineering was sent into space from Sweden on the exterior of a rocket. What happened when it returned? When returned, a small microscopic sphere was made of titanium and vanadium. It was about the width of human hair and had come from the space itself. It had threads of life on the outside of it. It also contained a gooey substance with some biological life shooting out from its center. Even though this particle returned to Earth after 1000 Celsius, there was still harbored life. Some researchers from the team at the University of Buckingham speculated that biological material contained genetic material. Where did this come from? They had no idea. However, some had noted that it was evidence of something that was called by intelligent life forms. This, perhaps, would probably never even have been taken seriously. However, it was suggested by Francis Crick, who was the Nobel Prize recipient for DNA research. Francis Crick spoke out relentlessly against the closed minds in the scientific community. Some other scientists believed that it must have been the intention of a more sinister purpose, engineered with a life-threatening virus sent to Earth. However, it had all the signs of having been shipped intentionally. Its discovery dampened the knee-jerk reaction toward the possibility that the alien life engaged in developing our human race. Another essential issue to talk about is the Rh-negative blood. What about it? We all have learned about the blood types in high school. We know that it is normal to have different kinds of blood. However, something extraordinary will happen if a woman with Rh-negative blood gets pregnant with an Rh-positive baby. The woman's body will produce antigens telling her immune system that her fetus is toxic. Then, what will happen next? Surprisingly, the woman's body will kill her own child. Is this normal? Does this happen even with the animals? No. There are no other instances of this kind of self-destruction biologically. It is believed that the Rh-negative blood is simply a mutation. However, others think it may have come from an alien species interbred with humans. It is engineered to produce a hybrid. Interestingly, only 15% of the world's population has Rh-negative. However, even more Interesting is that this population percentage is not spread evenly across the globe. The highest 40% of Rh-negative blood was found somewhere in a particular place. They were found in the Basque region between France and Spain. Another interesting, weird fact is that the Basque people are the only ones in Western Europe who speak an indigenous Indo-European language. A language that is not spoken anywhere else in Europe. It is not isolated, but it's utterly unrelated to any other European language. What are other facts about people that have Rh-negative blood? People with Rh-negative blood are more likely to experience psychic phenomena and alien abductions. Other facts about people with Rh-negative blood are that they have a high IQ, elevated intuition, lower body temperature, and higher blood pressure. They are believed to have red hair and sensitivity to sunlight. Sometimes the people that have Rh-negative blood have extra vertebrae. However, there is no rational explanation of why the overpowering instinct to procreate a pregnant woman's body would destroy its creation. Is it possible that nature endured some tampering? Here comes the theory of the Big Bang of the brain. In 2004, the researchers at Chicago University noted the results of a long-term study that concluded the sophistication of the human brain. It had been said that the human brain couldn't have been a slow evolution. It had to be the result of a dramatic and fast change. Many say that some special event occurred around 50,000 years ago. This event explained how the human culture went from primitive cave drawings to sophisticated civilizations. This whole event was called the Big Bang of the brain. During that time, the human brain was separated into two hemispheres. We could think abstractly. The changes in the cognitive and physical structure were extensive. Many elements were changed, including a unique gene called the FOX protein 2. This gene was responsible for language and our ability to speak. All of the animals have had it too. However, it was changed to make humans able to communicate and think abstractly. However, the most exciting fact is that this happened simultaneously as the cave cravings occurred. What kind of cave cravings were there during that time? History shows that there were cave cravings of creator gods that looked non-human and alien-like. Another interesting fact is that the Neanderthal men mysteriously became extinct around 40,000 years ago. This makes us believe that an alien must have interference. That makes so much more sense than saying that a random mutation occurred and man evolved overnight from ape. Here comes the theory of still missing. The missing link. This theory was the most accepted theory on the evolution of man. Darwin created this theory. What does it say? Darwin said that the human race had evolved from apes over a million years ago. He noted that our intellectual abilities were driven into existence by natural selection. Darwin believes that when our ancestors began to walk on 2 feet, they also began using their hands to make different tools. However, it makes us question. If evolution happens slowly, there should be slight changes after some time, not immediately. Is there any evidence? It is believed that 6 million years ago, many creatures, such as apes, began to stand upright and walk on feet. You might think and believe that many significant, better changes occurred after this. But, no. Not a single change took place for a whole 4 million years. However, according to fossil records, these species began to make stone tools after that million years. But the changes were so slow. They stopped here. No advances were made for almost 2 million years. Then, 200,000 years ago, Homo sapiens, known as us, appeared. It would be best to think that they emerged and were advanced, but they appeared with no change. The evolutionary charts often mislead us. However, the charts show us the evolution of man without revealing what has been discovered. Then, if we look at the actual fossils, we can see that there are no transition species from ape-like creatures. However, today we can find more recent fossils than the ancient ones. Worth mentioning is the famous Lucy, who dates back nearly 3 million years ago. It makes us question. Where are the recent transitions? Where is the missing link? Why haven't alligators changed a bit? Alligators hadn't changed in at least 65 million years. Is it possible that the missing link is missing? Is it possible that it doesn't exist? Is there a possibility that a genetic modification had been done by a more advanced life form responsible for the leap in our intelligence? This theory could explain why there are so many different races or versions of humans in only a few 100,000 years. Let's move on to a different topic. A theory called our shared ancestor. Eve and beyond. What is the idea behind this? It was written in the Hebrew Bible in the book of Genesis. It was said that Eve was created from the rib of Adam and was given the breath of life. However, we have recently reached more accurate technologies to measure our genes. Studies have shown us profound insight into our ancestry. We have been told that there is evidence that any human can be traced. Our lineage comes back to a single common female ancestor of African origin. This woman is believed to have lived around 200,000 years ago. The studies measure variations of mitochondrial DNA against the average rate of mutation from entirely African, and the other contains all races of the world. However, there aren't any physical remains of this Eve. Even though there aren't any remains, her existence has been confirmed. However, it is believed that the genes of mitochondrial Eve weren't the first. It wasn't the only woman on Earth. An event occurred while she was alive, a cataclysmic event where the human population was reduced massively. This created a genetic bottleneck. However, humans evolved with two entirely different paths that remain unexplained. It makes us wonder. How was it possible that many races suddenly evolved within such a short period? Methods of determining genetics had already answered a lot of essential questions. These methods made it possible for Pandora's box to get opened. A professor that went to Harvard had noted that ancient DNA is expensive. Why is ancient DNA expensive? The reason might be that so little of ancient DNA is human. Then, it makes us question, what is it, since it isn't human? Let's welcome another theory called the double helix in ancient carvings. We all know that everywhere you go, there are cryptic carvings that show countless numbers of strange giant hybrid humans or other creatures on every continent. These creatures are portrayed as the sky or inner earth. Some of them are even described as creators of man if these were simply folklore. How do we explain the images of the double helix that is also in these ancient pictures and carvings? What is the story behind the double helix? One of the earliest pictures of a double helix dates back to 7,000 years ago. It was carved on a sizable 6-foot round stone. You might say that the double helix image was coincidental. However, how do we explain the idea that the double helix was carved in a rock shaped like an egg? It's exciting knowing that the egg symbolizes fertility and reproduction. However, those pieces of evidence are not the only ones found. Another double helix image was found in Sumerian pictographs from 4500 BC. It's weird knowing that the double helix wasn't even discovered during that time. The double helix wasn't found until the 1960s. It seems like the one who had craved it and drawn it knew its role. The double helix symbol is called the caduceus, in which there are two serpents intertwined in a perfect presentation of how our DNA coils. There were also some wings in every crave of drawings of the double helix. What could wings mean? DNA doesn't fly. Is it just a coincidence that those wings also appeared on the creator god depicted in ancient Sumerian? Or is it that the wings also depict its source? The symbol of the caduceus is often misused. It is often used as a symbol for medical practice. It is confused with the traditional medical called rod of Asclepius. This symbol has only one snake and has never been used with wings. In ancient Greece, the caduceus represented Hermes, then later, the same god by the Roman name Mercury. All of the undertakings were associated with that god. The responsibilities were alchemy, the transformation of matter, commerce, meeting business ends, and death. According to the Sumerian tablets, these undertakings were called Anunnaki. What stories do the Sumerian tablets hold? These tablets tell stories about creator gods who were descended from heaven to earth. It is believed that they genetically transformed existing hominids, the Neanderthal, for their commerce. Another topic worth mentioning is the evidence of a destroyed planet. If you think there isn't a possibility of alien life, we must note a few things about our solar system and the life that it may have existed. Had the other planets had habitable environments? A famous German astronomer, Johann Titius, noted a mathematical pattern in the layout of the planets. Johann Titius predicted the existence of another planet between Mars and Jupiter. The astronomers wanted to find the possibility of a new life. However, they didn't find a planet. They found something else. They found pieces of a world. That area is known as our solar system's asteroid belt. This planet was called Phaethon, after the offspring of the sun god, Helios, who was Greek mythology. However, many legends claim that there was a planet in our solar system called Maldek. What does the legend say about this planet? The legend says that its inhabitants destroyed this planet. However, it is said that some of the inhabitants managed to escape the planet and colonize Earth. But there is a question. Why the otherwise perfectly? The mathematical pattern of our solar system has a vacancy? Another critical topic is the evidence of nuclear destruction on Mars. If the planet of Maldek wasn't home to aliens, then another planet might have been. Today, we know that Mars has vegetation and even water. NASA has known about this for some time. However, Mars has a very high concentration of the gas isotope called xenon-129. What is xenon-129? Xenon-129 is radioactive. It doesn't occur naturally. It was a result of a nuclear explosion. 1.7 billion years ago, a nuclear reaction took place on Mars. Then, the head of the United States Atomic Energy Commission, Dr. Glenn Seaborg, won a Nobel Prize. He was prized for his work in the synthesis of heavy elements. He had said that there was no way that a nuclear reaction could have happened on Mars. If the reactions weren't natural, then it makes us think that the implication of intelligent beings caused them. However, there is one fact left that is worth mentioning. The first public debut of synthetic DNA was in 1967. The published discoveries are years behind where technology has gone. We can compare the Morse code to a cell phone or the first camera to the telescope. This way, we could see how our technology has changed in just a few decades. So, how do we know what is happening behind the closed door with the manipulation of DNA?